Welcome back to the Immigration Report. We have major updates regarding immigration. There were massive protests planned all across the nation that turned into riots. And the Trump administration is now looking at Ohio for its next immigration crackdown. And Republicans are growing frustrated with the Trump administration's handling of the immigration situation, and a lot more that we're going to get into throughout this video. Also, if you want daily immigration updates without bias, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let us get into it, starting with these protests and these riots.
Breaking news, major protests across the U.S. playing out at this hour. Demonstrations against ICE and against President Trump's immigration crackdown. The images coming in, tens of thousands of people in the streets of Minneapolis braving the brutal cold, part of a nationwide protest. Tonight, similar scenes playing out from Los Angeles to Raleigh to New York.
People are out here taking to the streets, braving the bitter cold with a clear message. They don't approve of the ICE crackdown in their community. Students walking out of class, some businesses closing in solidarity, part of nationwide so-called ICE out protests.
Our streets. So as you can see, massive protests were happening all across the nation, right? In many different cities from LA to Minneapolis, schools were out, kids were out in the streets protesting the immigration enforcement. And what we witnessed is that one of these protests turned into a riot. Take a look at what happened in LA.
An officer back there, he's alone and they're just throwing things at him. I mean, it's just pretty incredible that these protesters have overtaken this, and there's no police. I don't see anybody here to kind of manage this crowd.
So as you can see, that is CNN reporting on this ICE facility that got overrun. Let us take a look at some more clips.
We have breaking news at 11, and this video just in. Protesters setting a dumpster on fire right outside the downtown detention center where many federal immigration detainees are being held. Firefighters responded, but then backed away when they were confronted by a handful of protesters still in the street.
So as you can see, firefighters showed up to put out the fire. Then they had to flee the scene because there were no officers there to support them in conducting their duties. And this is the mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Bass, on this matter.
Well, I can tell you that the situation is under control, but it is ongoing. And there was a interaction that was violent for a minute, but it was brought under control. First, you had the federal officers defending the federal building, and they acted in the beginning, and they dispersed tear gas.
I don't think this thing was under control because this thing continued all the way into the night. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think the city, the mayor, and the police department should have done more to essentially help to defend this federal building? Let us move on to our next story, which is the Trump administration. They're now looking to target Ohio for its next immigration crackdown. Let's take a look at this reporting.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is preparing for ICE agents to descend on Springfield, where about 15,000 Haitian immigrants call home. The federal government is set to end their temporary protected status in February, meaning tens of thousands of Haitians could lose their jobs, be forced to leave, or become undocumented.
Thousands of Haitians who are working, contributing members of the community, contributing to the economy, who one day will be able to work, and the next day will then not be able to work.
So as you can see, the Trump administration, they're moving in on Ohio. They're essentially ending temporary protection status for over 300,000 Haitians that are living in Springfield or Ohio as a whole. But let's take a look at this reporting from MS Now. The Trump administration is eyeing Ohio for its next immigration enforcement operations that could begin as early as next week, according to 4 people familiar with discussions. The operation is expected to target Asian migrants or immigrants with temporary protected status for Haiti expiring on February 3rd, one of the people familiar with the matter told MS Now. Details on how many federal immigrant agents or immigration agents there will be or the makeup of the operation remain unclear. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem terminated temporary protected status for Haiti last year, with an estimated more than 330,000 Haitian immigrants set to lose their protected status on February 3rd. An estimated 12 to 15,000 Haitians live in Springfield, Ohio, a community that President Trump and J.D. Vance targeted during the 2024 campaign. So as you can see, their temporary protected status is about to be expired, and the Trump administration is set to go in there and start their deportation operations. Let us move on to the next story. There's a lot of frustration growing within the Republican Party in regards to how the immigration situation is being handled by the Trump administration. Let us take a look.
There's a lot of frustration among Republicans, both on the Hill and in the White House, that immigration has gone from this huge asset for President Trump and for the GOP to now potentially a liability. And a lot of people are putting that at the feet of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller. You saw him send Tom Homan in this week, and a couple of sources told me that that is not a vote of confidence in Kristi Noem.
So as you can see, the Republican Party, or Republicans, are growing increasingly frustrated with the Trump administration handling of this situation. Because for one, that was one of the main reasons why Trump got elected into office, and it's one of the Republicans' strong point when it comes to electability. Now they feel like they're losing that issue because public opinion is changing on the matter in regards to how operations are being carried out. And we have an article here by the Associated Press that explains that Republicans fear their midterm chances are slipping away over immigration chaos. Republicans are increasingly concerned that immigration enforcement is becoming a political liability in the upcoming midterm elections after 2 people were killed by federal agents during President Trump's crackdown in Minneapolis. Although few are willing to break public rule with the president, there has been a crescendo of critiques as Republicans nudge the White House to change course. As you can see, Republicans, they're concerned about the midterms, which is fair. Now, despite the fact that Republicans are pressuring the Trump administration and the White House to change course, they don't seem to be easing up on their immigration crackdown. And this is Tom Homan recently, after there's been debates about if they will draw down in Minneapolis or change course, because the debate was Tom Homan, he got on stage and he said they're going to do a drawdown, that they're going to shift some of those resources out of Minneapolis and send them different places. And a lot of people saw that as a retreat by the Trump administration. Then they had to clarify, and this is Tom Homan on Fox News explaining that they're not going to slow down this immigration crackdown, despite Republicans are calling for them to change course, despite public opinion as well.
And to set the record straight, because my staff said it's seen a lot of people that say President Trump's backing off on his promise of mass deportation. That's just untrue. My message up there was the same message that's been since January 20th, when President Trump took the Oval Office. We're going to have a mass deportation, but we're going to prioritize the arrest of criminals and public safety threats.
So as you can see, Tom Homan and the Trump administration, they're going full steam ahead with this deportation operation. And even though he said they're going to prioritize criminals and the worst of the worst, he clarified those statements and said no one is off limits. Take a look.
Again, no one's off the table. If in this country in violation of law, we will deport you when we find you. It's that plain and simple. And for people that want to misinterpret what President Trump sending to Minneapolis means, then you're not paying attention. President Trump is going to Minneapolis to save lives of officers, to save lives of the community, and do smart law enforcement operations.
The reason why he had to make that statement is because he did a press conference. Tom Homan did a press conference yesterday when they said they're essentially only going to target criminals. And now he's clarifying, saying, hey, no one is off limits. If you're in this country illegally, you're going to get deported. So now he's clarifying those statements, and they're making it clear to the public that this deportation operation is going to continue full steam ahead. Now, let us shift gear to Dallas, because over the New Year's Eve to be specific, there were celebrations going off, fireworks going off, and then you had these illegal aliens, these undocumented individuals, or one of them were, and he was celebrating. What he did, they had a whole bunch of guns on a bridge. They were shooting with people all around. There were cars, there were kids, there were everything, and now they're announcing the arrest of those illegal individuals. Let's take a look.
You may hear gunshots in your neighborhood every New Year's Eve, or maybe you see it happening on social media, if not. But today in Dallas, something we don't get to see very often. Those accused of firing those weapons arrested and facing criminal charges. Robbie Owens sharing what happens when those viral videos actually turn into evidence.
On New Year's Eve in Dallas, automatic gunfire echoed the fireworks lighting up the night sky.
This behavior is dangerous and won't be tolerated in Dallas.
Fired from the Margaret McDermott Bridge just west of downtown, investigators recovered more than 100 shell casings near the scene. Then need only to look online for clues to who fired them.
This video went viral throughout the United States. Everyone got to see that criminal activity. I'm here to tell you, it won't happen again in Dallas, and if it does, you will get arrested, just like these individuals have been arrested.
Anthony Acevedo, 20, and Jose Alocon Sanchez, 18, both of Grand Prairie, were identified as the men in the videos firing the weapons. He is in custody with an immigration hold. Acevedo has been released on bond, and there's more.
Video analysis also allowed investigators to identify a third individual connected to a separate violent crime of an aggravated assault that occurred in November of 2025.
25-year-old Anderson Derce Lara is charged in what officers describe as a road rage shooting. He's accused of firing multiple rounds into a vehicle carrying 3 adults and 3 children, one as young as 3. Working with the ATF, investigators executed a search warrant and recovered multiple firearms, including the rifles seen in the viral videos. Derce Lara is also being held on an immigration hold.
So as you can see, 2 of those 3 individuals are on immigration detention or immigration hold, which basically means you can expect to see them be deported. And I think it's pretty reckless, regardless of the fact if they're illegals or undocumented or if they're citizens. I think it's pretty reckless to be on a bridge when there are cars around, when there are people around, and you're shooting off of the bridge. You don't know if there's anyone under the bridge walking or if there are cars driving under the bridge. So I think that is pretty reckless, and those people need to be held accountable for those actions. Now let us move on to the next story. We have Governor Kathy Hochul from out of New York, the governor of New York. Now, she did a press conference. She introduced a legislation, right, which is a proposal to restrict cooperation between New York state and local law enforcement and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Let us take a look at this press conference.
So today, with this proposal, we're sending a strong message to ICE. You will not weaponize local police officers against their own communities in the state of New York. You will not use our police technology to track people who've done nothing wrong. We will not throw innocent people into our jails.
So as you can see that I've outlined in previous videos, major cities, right? And now we're seeing governors, states are trying to resist the Trump administration and ICE in their effort to crack down on immigration. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please let me know in the comment section below what you think about these stories that we covered today, what you think about the riots, the protests that took place yesterday, and that's about to continue throughout the weekend. Let me know what you think about Republicans are now growing frustrated with the Trump administration. Also, let me know what you think will happen in Springfield, Ohio, where the Trump administration is looking to target next. Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing